Hello and welcome. Today we'll do something a little different. I'll be sharing an interactive story. This is where you get to participate in the story. And it all has a meaning which will come together and be revealed towards the end of the story. I was exposed to this format when I was a teenager. I'd actually met someone in a public bus and we began talking. And this person took me through the interactive story I'm going to share with you today. And frankly, the experience sort of blew my mind. I found it really interesting and fascinating. So today, the way it's going to work is I'm going to start sharing a story. And at each point, I will pause and I will give you a moment to fill in certain part of that story. So this is where you come in. This is where you have to actively participate. And I'll pause for a bit and I'll let you come up with the answer or response. There's no right or wrong response, there's just what comes to you. And as you go through the story, just lightly keep in mind some of the responses you've had. And towards the end, I'll reveal what each aspect of the story means. So let's begin. You find yourself in a desert. You're by yourself. And as you're walking along in the desert, you see a pot. What kind of pot do you see? Now you look inside the pot. What do you find inside the pot? How do you feel about this pot? And what do you do with this pot? And now it's time to move ahead. And you see camel. How many camel do you see? How do you feel about these camel? And what do you do with these camel? And now you move further and you see a chest or a trunk. What kind of chest or trunk do you see? You open the chest. What do you find inside the chest? How do you feel about this chest? And what do you do with this chest? And now you move further. And you see a wall. What kind of wall do you see? How big is it? How tall is it? How far does it extend? What materials is it made of? How do you feel about this wall? Does it feel like something you can get past, get over, get around, or not? And now you look beyond the wall. What do you see? What do you discover beyond the wall? How do you feel about what you see? And what do you do now? And with that, we gently bring this to a close. So you just participated in a form of interactive storytelling. At each point, I paused and I allowed you to fill in certain part of the story with your own imagination. Now, each of the elements of the story represents something. And the way this works is, even though you did not know consciously what each part of the story represents, we're going with the assumption that there is a collective unconscious. And though you may not consciously know what it represents, at a deep unconscious level, you do know. I'm now going to reveal what each aspect of the story represents. And you will reflect as to what your answers mean to you. And this is bound to be subjective. This is bound to be something which can have various meanings. And that's part of the fun of the exercise. So let me now reveal one by one. So the first part of our story, we came across a pot. And the pot represents your parents, represents your relationship with your parents, how you feel about your parents, and how you want to continue this relationship. The next thing we came across were camel. And camel represent opportunity. How many opportunities you see, how you feel about them, and what you do with these opportunities. This is what camel represent. The next thing you saw was a chest or a trunk. And this represents your friends. So what kind of trunk you saw, what you saw inside the trunk, your feelings about the trunk, and what you do with the trunk, all of this is connected to how you see and how you feel about friends and friendship. And the next thing we saw was a wall. The wall represents life. How do you see life? How challenging, how easy, how difficult, how imposing or manageable your life is. The wall represents your life. Your feelings about life. And the last part of our story, beyond the wall, represents the future. How you see the future. What you see in the future. what you want to do in the future. So that's the breakdown of what each element of the story represents. I invite you to reflect on your answers. Sometimes what appears like a negative answer may not be negative, it may have a deeper meaning. So reflect more deeply. And I invite you to, if you're comfortable, share this experience with some friends and get them to reflect along with you. Take them through this process. And then later on, you can share your own answers with them. And you can have a discussion with a close friend and ask them to share their insight on their own answers and maybe even on your answers. And this can be a very meaningful, interesting, rich exercise which enables us to tap into subconscious beliefs, feelings, and intentions. So I hope you enjoyed this little interactive storytelling session. And remember to take it with a good dose of humor and not take things too seriously, not get too caught up in overanalyzing. It's a fun exercise and it's designed to just give us an insight into some parts of our mind. And so do it with that same attitude and have fun and also learn something along the way. Lots of love. Be well.